joined now. Once again, I welcome your presence on this platform for a one-day national level seminar organized by the Department of English, KKM College Manvat, in collaboration with School of Language, Literature and Culture Studies, SRTM University, Nanded, with the title Contemporary Indian Theatre, Views and Reviews. As for the proceeding of this inaugural session concerned, we have guest of honor and keynote addresser, Dr. Mustajid Khan sir, from Dr. Baba Sahib Ambedkar Marathwada University, Aurangabad. Then we have our president of our educational society, Sri Vijay Kumarji Katruwa sir, as president of this function. I have a great deal of pleasure in welcoming presence of our principal, Dr. Bhaskar Munde sir. Then coordinator and head of the department, Dr. Subhash Shinde sir. And also our vice principal, Dr. Tukaram Munde sir. We have our coordinator, Dr. Sharda Raut, and also the fellow participants who have joined this meeting, Dr. Vishwadhar Deshmukh sir, Dr. Yogini Satarkar ma'am, and many others who have, Dr. Shivaji Methe. So I'm grateful for your presence on this platform. As I have mentioned right now, we are going to start the proceeding of this session. In the beginning, I take pleasure to invite our principal, Dr. Bhaskar Munde sir, for his welcome speech. Dr. Munde sir.
Good morning, everybody. On behalf of my institution, I take this pleasure to welcome your esteemed presence on this digital mode for a one-day national webinar on contemporary Indian theatre, views and reviews, organized by the Department of English of my college in collaboration with School of Language, Literature and Cultural Studies, SRTM University, Nanded. At the outset, I have an in-depth obligation towards the Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. Uddhav Bhosle sir, and Pro Vice Chancellor, Dr. Bisen sir, for granting permission for this collaboration. Apart from this, I have words of gratitude towards the Director of School of Language, Literature and Cultural Studies, Dr. Shelja Wadikar madam, for this association. Besides, I have a deep concern towards President of our Educational Society, Mr. Vijay Kumarji Katruwa, Secretary, Mr. Balkishan Chandak, and other respected officiates and members for their constant encouragement to organize such activities. Friends, being head of the institution, it is my accountability to introduce my institution in brief, with an objective to spread the light of education and knowledge among the different sections in the rural areas in the vicinity of Manwat. Our college was established in the year 1972 with degree level education in arts, commerce and science streams. Since that time, the college has been at the forefront to formulate an academic leadership. The college has already completed 3 rounds of NAAC accreditation in the year 2004, 2012 and 2018 with 2.65 and 2.28 CGPA, accumulating B grade in these 3 cycles. We have also ISO certification in the year 2017. We received the Best College Award from the parent university in the year 2010. The college annual magazine Manavta has set a record of winning state and university level prizes for many times. We have made the hat trick of winning first prize of Manavta in last 3 successive years. Also, the sport department of our college has been adding feathers to our glory in terms of organizing university level and national level competitions. Also, participation and medals in national and international level competitions. And we are facilitating our students with an indoor stadium and running track to develop culture. Similarly, students and faculty have been involved in different research-oriented activities to enhance their research perceptions and to create the research culture in the campus. Now, talking about subject of the webinar, I have immense pleasure indeed for choosing such an appropriate topic at this juncture of time. As we know, Indian theatre, its past, present and future should have a wider discussion in academia for many reasons, but more particularly due to a waning stage it seems to have reached. The glorious past of Indian theatre should be transmuted to future generations through such intellectual gatherings. I congratulate the Department of English, the faculty members, Dr. Subhash Shinde and Dr. Durgesh Ravande for this initiative. Last but not least, I am grateful towards the resource persons, Dr. Mustajib Khan, Dr. R.T. Bedre, Dr. Rahul Kamble, and Dr. Shelja Wadikar, and also the participants from different states of the country for accepting our invitation and becoming part of the event. I hope this webinar will be very successful and useful for the participants, and I welcome all once again. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your welcome speech. May I request now Dr. Subhash Shinde, sir, Head of the Department of English and coordinator of this event, for his introductory words.
Thank you, sir. A very fine good morning to one and all. Honorable dignitaries, Shri Vijay Kumarji Katruwar Sahib, the President TTSP Mandal Manvat, and the President of the program, Principal Dr. B.S. Munde sir, Vice Principal Dr. T.V. Munde sir, Dr. Shada Raut Madam, Coordinator Humanities, Dr. Mustajib Khan sir, Speaker, my colleague Dr. Ravande, and all the participants, delegates. I welcome you all for this Swami Ramananda Tirth Marathwada University sanctioned national webinar on contemporary Indian theatre views and reviews, organized by the Department of English of KKM College, Manvat. The topic of the webinar covers growth and development of contemporary Indian theatre, not only in India, but also abroad. Theatre has a glorious tradition. It developed along with music and dance. Theatre is an ancient aesthetic practice in India. Theatre existed in Indian subcontinent from the dawn of civilization. According to Bharata's Natya Shastra, drama was a gift from the gods to the humans. However, contemporary Indian theatre, as we know it today, has been widely influenced by the change in the political scenario in India. It has an unbroken history of over 2,000 years. But as the Indian freedom movement picked momentum, the creative side of the theatre took a little setback. In 1922, the Indian Communist Party was founded, and along with it came the Indian People's Theatre Association, known as IPTA. It was incorporated against the tyranny of the British rule. Indian theatre was turning out as a medium of social and political change, whose more concern was to reach out to the common people. Translations started appearing simultaneously of Sanskrit classics and Western classics. Drama began to flourish as a cherished literary genre alongside the modern genre of fiction, which was also a response to the Western influence. The whole and sole aim of theatre was mass entertainment before the emergence of cinema. Basically, contemporary Indian theatre is not only the amalgamation of art, dance, music and dialogues, but it is a means of reaching people and addressing their issues. And of course, the main element of it is changing the social and the political elements of independent India. It is developed rapidly and became the favorite form of theatre for the practitioners and the lovers of theatre. Accordingly, the objectives of the webinar are to boost up contemporary Indian theatre at large, to identify and inculcate the diverse trends throughout India, to focus on the competition of Indian theatre and its effect on growing television and film industry, to find out obstacles for contemporary Indian theatre. And to end my introductory words, I would like to quote Aurora, a well-known writer. Aurora quotes Bharata. I quote, "Poetry, dance and mime in life is play, which produces emotions, but only drama produces flavor." Unquote. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, sir, for your introductory words. I take this opportunity to introduce our guest of honor, Dr. Mustajib Ahmed Khan, sir. He is professor in the Department of English and also Director, Board of Students Development, Foreign Student Cell, Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar, Marathwada University, Aurangabad. He did his PhD with the topic Badal Sarkar, Vijay Tendulkar and Mahesh Dattani, a theatrical discourse. Altogether, he has 26 years of teaching experience, whereas British literature, Indian writing in English, drama, theatre, and film studies have been areas of his interpretation and interest. Right now, or up to the moment, he has published 25 research papers in reputed national and international journals, whereas 50 research papers are being presented by him at the national and international seminars and conferences. 10 PhD and 15 MPhil research scholars posting their works on drama and films under his amiable guidance. He has already written 3 plays and 2 one-act plays in Marathi language. He has won awards for 5 times for the best light designing of the plays from Government of Maharashtra. He is an active amateur theatre activist. He is also an Executive Council member of Indian Society for Theatre Research, that is ISTR. He has completed the major research project of University Grants Commission, New Delhi, titled Towards Political Theatre, a thematic study of Utpal Dutt, Safdar Hashmi and G.P. Deshpande. So this small introduction of Dr. Mustajib Khan, sir, is actually very important and it can be considered as his academic contribution. But apart from that, he knows the language of humanity. He can interpret the language of humanity, the way he meets people, the way he leaves an impact on them, on their sensibility. I think it is more important than the academic achievements Dr. Mustajib Khan sir has. So I take a great deal of pleasure in inviting Dr. Mustajib Khan sir for his keynote address, one of the leading theatre scholar. Dr. Mustajib Khan sir for his keynote address.
Thank you very much. I hope I am audible, comfortable to all of you.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Thank you. Thank you so much, friends. And I'm overwhelmed with the introductory remarks and introduction given by Durgesh, who himself is a serious scholar of drama and theatre. At the outset, I am very much thankful to the Institute for inviting me for the webinar and to deliver keynote address. I'm just simply scrolling through the participants, found that so many participants are from across the nation. Fellow resource persons, Professor Shailaja Wadikar, Dr. Rahul Kamble, I'm watching their faces on the screen, and R.T. Bedre, I hope he'll join soon, Vishwadhar Deshmukh, and various scholars in this webinar. The title, Contemporary Indian Theatre Views and Reviews, somehow is a very broad title that a webinar can discuss within a day. Because as a person who is involved in theatre activities, a person whose area of interest is drama and film studies, and a teacher of English and student of literature, I think we have to focus and we have to understand what exactly the term contemporary means by. Because contemporaneity can have various views, various understandings. And that's why it is very much important for us to, first of all, create a framework about what exactly we mean by contemporary. And then we have to move to the other word in the title, Indian, and then I'll move to the word theatre. Contemporary has various shades, right from Nietzsche to Foucault. You will find out all of the scholars, all of the legends are talking about what exactly means by contemporary. Contemporary, for us, for this webinar, for this discussion, we have to restrict ourselves if you take the term Indian along with contemporary. We have to focus, we have to understand that we are restricting our sense of contemporary with post-independent Indian theatre. Because as we have heard in the introductory remarks by the head that Indian theatre, he's talking right from Bharata's Natya Shastra up to films, and I'll move further, OTT platforms also. But we have to restrict our discussion, our queries, our doubts, our questions to the post-independent Indian theatre. Now, why I'm simply making a framework of post-independent India, why not I'm talking about the earlier glorious tradition that we used to boast that Indian theatre is one of the ancient theatres of the world. I have my certain objections regarding it. Although we say we are the ancient theatre in the world, but we are having various intervals into it. We have to understand the fact that we have divided our Indian theatre into two specific categories. If you are talking in contemporary sense, that's what I say, I'm talking about contemporary. We have defined our ideas of theatre in India with a pan-Indian concept that Indian means one complete theatre in itself. Whereas we have to understand the fact that there is no such a concept like Indian in theatre. It's a pan-Indian concept. You are accommodating all the regional centers and regional cultures, regional theatres into it and trying to make an idea of this is to be called as an Indian theatre. If I'm a Marathi person, I'll say my Marathi theatre is older than other theatre. Kannadiga will say that his theatre is older than rest of the theatre. Bengalis will boast their own theatre. Everybody is having his own idea about theatre. Everybody is having his own understanding about theatre. And as an Indian, when we talk about theatre, we only consider the westernized concept of theatre. That's why I said we have to divide this into two different topics, two different ideas. a westernized concept of theatre which has been accepted throughout India after post-independence. There are a lots of shifts, and those shifts I point out within 40-45 minutes that is allotted to me. And the second interesting thing is that which we are not interested in bringing it into our mainstream debate, it is always kept on periphery, is the folk theatre. Because folk theatre has its own way, and how this folk theatre, which is always on periphery, this folk theatre is not at all allowed to be the part of mainstream, and when it is brought into mainstream, how this folk theatre is almost devastated. We have to understand these things when we are having a deliberations like this, when we are talking on the contemporary Indian theatre views and reviews. We have to focus on these two ways of looking at theatre in India. Why I'm talking about theatre as a pan-Indian concept? Why I'm saying so? Because after independence, let me little bit open up the area and make a broad framework and try to bring the canvas open to you to sketch your own ideas about theatre. Why we are saying that we had a glorious period of theatre in India, where our understanding of theatre need to be questioned again and again. My basic query regarding to it is that what we understood as a theatre, what we say it as an Indian theatre, we are simply trying to glorify certain specific cultural traditions. Glorifying certain cultural traditions. Forgetting that Indian theatre is in itself is an intercultural entity. Let us see how these things are kept in front of us, how it has been opened in front of us. If you see very carefully, my friends, the glorious history that in introductory remarks Dr. Subhash Shinde has mentioned, with saying that we have Bharata's Natya Shastra. What exactly is Natya Shastra? Is it meant only for theatre? And if it is only meant for theatre, then we have to define theatre also. What exactly is theatre? In the whole 36 chapters of Bharata's Natya Shastra, Bharata is talking about all the performative aspects. Right from the place of performance to the kind of audience he is expecting. He's talking about where the play should be performed, how the plays should be performed, and what kind of audience he is expecting. In between, he talks about all sorts of experiences and acting skills and all sorts of ideas about performances. If it is so, then we need to understand, are we really considering Indian theatre is a place of performance only, or are we trying to, because most of us are teachers or students of literature, any literature, I'm not specifying. Because for us, for students of literature, theatre is a place of performance of drama. That's all we know about it. And in a theatrical understanding, dramatist gets its highest place, and this dramatist is named before every performance. That's why we have restricted, we are familiar with the thing that our drama is a drama based on playwright's idea of drama, not from the performative angle of drama. As we know that the idea of entity which is having multiple meanings, which we develop through postmodern ideas and which we develop through the way deconstruction has taken place in the whole understanding of critical theories. We have to understand this fact that one particular idea can have multiple meanings, whereas we as a teachers of literature, students of literature, restricted ourselves to the idea that is represented in a form of a text. And there you will find out, my friends, that we have to make ourselves very much clear with understanding of theatre, because theatre gives a lot of dimensions to the text that is written. A text written by, for example, take an example of Tendulkar's very known play called Vultures or Gidhade. And how this Gidhade is interpreted by Satyadev Dubey when he is directing that play. Or look out, as I always used to tell to my friends and to my fellows, that when Ghanshiram Kotwal, Tendulkar wrote, Ghanshiram Kotwal is performed by Jabbar Patel with his team of Theatre Academy, with a great musician like Bhaskar Chandavarkar, and composed the whole idea that Tendulkar has incorporated into the play with a lot of musical and traditional things that he has brought into. And later on, this play became a benchmark in understanding of Indian theatre when we, in post-independent India, tries to make it as what in 1956 Suresh Avasthi, the then secretary of Sangeet Natak Academy, has asked most of the creative writers in India to once again think about theatre in India and make a theatre of roots concept back into existence. In that process of theatre of roots, you will find out so many writers tried to write it down. In the same fashion, Tendulkar has also brought Ghanshiram Kotwal into it. And when the performance of Ghanshiram Kotwal done by Jabbar Patel, if you ask any Marathi person, or if you ask any person who is related to theatre, he will say that Ghanshiram Kotwal and its performance, you cannot able to change it. You cannot able to bring any sort of change. The concept of human wall created by Vijay Tendulkar and executed by Jabbar Patel on the stage. You cannot have any alternate for that if you try to think in a different perspective. But students from IIT Kharagpur, I tried to present Ghanshiram Kotwal without music. And if you read Ghanshiram Kotwal without music, Ghanshiram Kotwal is somehow written by most of the critics that it is to be considered as a children's play, if it is not having any music and dance into it. The play is not complete without music and dance. And so the experiment done by students of IIT Kharagpur without music and dance, the play is being performed and the audience left the theatre when the performance was taking place. Now, if you are talking about only the text that is presented in front of you, the text that is available with you of Ghanshiram Kotwal, and try to read the text, you will not able to get what exactly the whole idea that Tendulkar is trying to bring out about a political anarchy that took place, or the hegemonic approach, or the hegemony that the then politicians, and then comparing that politicians to the contemporary politicians, is trying to bring it out. You cannot able to understand if you are not able to know about the performative aspect of Ghanshyam Kotwal when you are trying to be part of it into the classroom also. Similar thing we have to understand about Karnad's Haivadan. Haivadan is supposed to be the poster play of Theatre of Roots in India. It was a poster play. It was said that Haivadan once again is the best example of the idea of Theatre of Roots that was propagated in India after independence, that we need to find out our own theatre, our own understanding of theatre. That's why we have to go back to our theatre. We have to understand our theatre. Getting back to traditions, getting back to our roots. And this, how this effect has changed, how this effect has countered the whole understanding of theatre in today's context. We have to question this again in these coming days, my friends. If you're reading Haivadan, and if you don't know how B.V. Karant has converted the whole concept of Haivadan with a performance of Yakshagan with it, if you're not able to understand how Yakshagan is having its different ideas and why Haivadan is treated as a poster play of Theatre of Roots, because various dimensions, various forms of Yakshagan has been incorporated into one play itself. Yakshagan Togal, Yakshagan Beboata, Yakshagan Togal Beboata. These are the different Yakshagan, you can say, types. And Karnad has incorporated all the three types into one play itself. And that's why this play has become a poster play and trying to make the people to understand with the tradition, with the culture that India is having with its masses. Why I'm saying I'm talking about the contemporary theatre, and I'm making contemporary theatre equal to the post-independent India, post-independent Indian theatre. Why I'm not talking about the early Sanskrit theatre? Why I'm not talking about the early plays written before British arrives? Or why I'm not talking about pre-independent Indian theatre? Whereas you have talked about IPTA, you have talked about so many cultural plays that has taken in pre-independent India. If I'm going to talk about pre-independent Indian theatre, and if I'm going back to the history, and as I said, I am going to make a canvas a little bit vast. If you look at that particular canvas, you will find out, my friends, that we lost theatre almost for 1,000 years. There was no theatre for 1,000 years in India. So how can we claim that we have an ancient tradition of theatre as it is revived by the Orientalists? And it is revised by the Britishers, not by any Indian, unfortunately. How can we claim that we have so much of ancientness with us without knowing what exactly it means by ancientness to us? If you look at the theatre, if you look at the glorious period, and what we used to, again, my basic objection and my basic question always used to ask many scholars where I am not able to get satisfied answer from anywhere else. How can I call an ancient Indian theatre to be as a Sanskrit theatre only? And if you know it, my friends, what exactly is that particular period? And that's why don't think that I'm shifting myself to pre-independence theatre, and I'm talking about, when I'm talking about post-independent, I immediately move to pre-independence. No, there are certain links related to it. And those links need to be solved. The knots are to be untied. If you don't untie these knots, we are not able to understand what is exactly the contemporary Indian theatre and what sort of queries and questions and doubts the Indian theatre carries with itself throughout. And in this pandemic period, the whole idea of theatre has been collapsed. Please understand that we belong to, as I said, we are intercultural, and we are forcing ourselves to monolithic idea of Indianness. And our ancient Indian theatre carries its own philosophy in itself, which we have forgotten almost. Because if you see very carefully, my friends, in this pandemic, even in this pandemic, if you see it very carefully, we Indians are not having any sort of, you can say, absurdity in our behavior even in this pandemic, whereas you will find out the most developed nation of the world, America, is facing absurd situations with their people. We are not that much absurd. Even we haven't seen any absurdity in our regular day-to-day life. Why we have not seen any absurdity in our day-to-day life? When I talked with one of my teachers, Professor Chandrasekhar Jagirdar, and asked him a very simple question as a student. Sir, I said, whether we are absurd or can we have an absurd literature available in our Indian context? He says, no. We cannot call ourselves as absurd because our Indian philosophy, or I can say Eastern philosophy, or if you carry the same word used by the very famous Edward Said, Oriental philosophy. If you see very carefully all these things, you will find out, my friends, that these Eastern philosophies, Oriental philosophies, or philosophies of subcontinent of India always think about the rebirth of everything as compared to the Western ideas and Western philosophies. What is Western idea? There is beginning, there is middle, there is end. And that's why you will find out in every Western concept and every Western ideas, there is end to everything. There is end of the world. There is, even if I go to the very famous theory of Roland Barthes, there is a death of author. There is Francis Fukuyama saying there is death of history, end of history. You will find out everything is coming to an end in Western concept, whereas in Indian ideas, in subcontinent Indian philosophies, there is no end because we are trying to create moksha after every birth. In Hindu philosophy, in Hindu mythology, you will find out you require, if I'm wrong, please make it correct, 33 lakh yonis you have to move across. You treat it as your blind faith or anything else, I don't bother about it. But it is a fact, it is a mythology, it is our ancient understanding of life. Indian philosophy, if you see Western philosophy is linear, whereas Indian and subcontinent Indian philosophy is circular. There is birth, there is death, there is again rebirth. You go with any religion across the world, because it is well said across, in all the literatures that religion is given by the eastern part of the world, and western part of the world followed it with developing its own science based on it. Every religion is born in eastern part of the world, right from the Abrahamic religion to Hinduism, to Buddhism, to Sikhism, to Jainism. You find out any religion, it has taken birth on the eastern part of the world, which Edward Said says oriental part. And if we have this kind of understanding that we are having everything, if you do good, you will get good life in your rebirth. There is rebirth again. Go with every religion. They are talking about judgment day. You have to, once again, if you die, you have to get up and stand in front of your God to answer the questions. That means there is a rebirth. And for that, you have to do something good in this life. That is an idea. And that's why you will find out Indian ancient drama doesn't have any idea of tragedy in itself. There is no tragedy available there. Tragedy is not an idea of Indian philosophy. Please understand this part, my friends. We have almost all the time, you will find out Sanskrit plays are giving Sukhatmika to you. There is no Shokantika. Take for example, Abhigya and Shakuntala. Everything happens with Shakuntala, but at last she meets. Every tragedy, she is moving through every difficult phases of her life, but at last she has to get with her own husband. Go with any play written by Kalidas, Bhas, or any playwright of that particular period. Because Indian philosophy believes in reunion, believes in making the things back to its own place, and that's why we will not be an absurd in any condition. And that is how you will find out in today's contemporary phase also, in today's situation, in pandemic situation, we are not absurd. We are believing that tomorrow it is going to be better. Okay, let us fight with this. And that's why the world made it clear that India will face so many severe deaths in second wave, and we are facing second wave with a very fine-tuned and fine way. Because we know, although you believe it or not, you have a faith in someone who is ruling your world. That's why ancient Indian drama is not having this idea. Whereas if you compare and if you find it out in contemporary, in modern Indian drama, you will have an idea of tragedies coming towards us. And that's why you have to, when you are talking about views and reviews of contemporary Indian drama, you have to understand this basic difference in both the understandings. And that's why I said I'm not going to talk about pre-independent theatre, because if you want to talk, there's going to be another topic of discussion. And from 8th century onwards, when the Sanskrit drama declined, again I'm having a question about Sanskrit drama. There are various scholars, friends sitting with me. That's why I'm putting this question. I'm getting a little bit, you can say, interested, and I'm trying to put certain questions in front of my scholar friends. Like Shailaja is sitting, Shailaja Wadikar is sitting, Durgesh is sitting, Vishwadhar is sitting, and Rahul is also sitting. Somewhere I'm finding RT is also coming, RT Bedri is also coming. That's why I'm putting this question in front of their deliberations with their. They can even ponder over this. If you see, my friends, Sanskrit drama is not purely Sanskrit drama. Sanskrit drama is written in, this drama is called as a multilingual drama. If you see that Nandi Bhatt mentioned it very categorically, and the well-known playwright, Kannada playwright H.G. Shiva Prakash also mentioned it very clearly, that Sanskrit drama is a multilingual drama. It is not single language drama. 7 languages used in Sanskrit drama itself, in the text itself. And I say we are very unfortunate that we haven't seen any Sanskrit text, original Sanskrit text. Why it is called a Sanskrit text is a big question mark in front. Sanskrit drama is written in Sanskrit, Magadhi, Ardha Magadhi, Marhatti, Ardha Marhatti, Prakrit. Sanskrit drama is written in these various languages. And the languages are distributed as per the social status of the character. Because Sanskrit is not spoken, and if you know it very well, the social structure of India, I need not to enter into the social structure of India. Sanskrit has to be spoken by Brahmins. No sevak can able to speak in Sanskrit. And if you consider this fact, if you consider this understanding, that if language is distributed and divided with a social stratification, as per the caste system that India followed, then the languages of different people are different, because women cannot able to speak Sanskrit. So Shakuntala never spoke in Sanskrit. What language Shakuntala spoke, we even today don't know. It's a very unfortunate thing. And still we boast ourselves that we are having an ancient tradition of drama in the world. No. Somehow it is said that Dushyanta spoke Prakrit. It's Kshatriya. Then who spoke Sanskrit? Only Vidushaka spoke Sanskrit in the play. And when Vidushaka spoke Sanskrit, and if you read today's text also, Abhigyan Shakuntalam's today's text, if you read it very carefully, you will find out, my friends, that Abhigyan Shakuntalam's today's text show that in the overall 7 acts that we have divided it into, and it is divided that play into 7 acts. And out of these 7 acts, in only 3 scenes, Vidushak used to enter. And Vidushak used to speak only in these 3 scenes. That means Vidushaka speaking in Sanskrit. understand the power and the whole idea of theatre of that particular period, that how learned the audience would be at that time, that these audience are able to understand all the 6-7 languages at a time. We are not able to understand except 2 or 3 languages. Still we call ourselves as a multilingual. But if you see that this particular overall understanding of the audience sitting in that contemporary period, if Vidushat speaking in Sanskrit with only 3 entries in the play, in 3 scenes he is entering into the play, then how can we call it as a Sanskrit play? It is absolutely a political stance taken by the British companies of the time. Because when Royal Asiatic Society was formed in Calcutta, they asked so many, because Britishers know, the company, East India Company knows at that time that if you want to have a business with India, you need to speak their language, and to understand their culture and their language, you need to understand their basic texts, and that's why they started to learn Sanskrit. And it was Sir William Jones who translated Shakuntala first, Abhigyan Shakuntalam, from Sanskrit to English, and the world comes to know that, okay, India is also having a theatre. Because from 8th century to 18th century, we don't have any theatre existed. Even Girish Karnad claimed this. The theatre was not existed from 8th century to 18th century. When the universities were established, the idea of theatre once again came into the life of Indian society. And the translations made by those Orientalists, or I can say Indologists, they put the term in front of us saying that this is what we call it as a theatre. Please understand, if you are talking about Indian theatre, we need to understand the basic concept of theatre, that if we are boasting it, Bharata, how he defined it. For Bharata, audience should be learned. Please understand, in Bharata's Natya Shastra, in one of the chapters, I'm forgetting the title of the chapter, Bharata said that I want my audience to be learned. No one can come into and sit and watch the play. No, why the learned audience? Because the play is in 7 languages, 6 languages at a time. So the audience should be learned, who can understand. And please understand, my friend, if I look into it, that how vast those things we have to study. Still, we have not entered into that area. We forgot to research on that. That if you enter into that foray, you will find out how the actors also who perform that play, who knows all the 7 languages, and giving reflexive actions when one is talking in Sanskrit and other is answering in Prakrit. We as a teacher of language knows it very well that every language has its own structure. The language structure. And when you start to speak, this pragmatic way of dealing with language has got different nuances. And we need to understand this. And for that, my friends, it is very much important for us to understand the learned audience, the learned actors of the time, and what is the position of today's Indian theatre. If you are trying to point out, if you're trying to boast always that I am having an ancient Indian theatre, I am having an ancient Indian theatre, what exactly ancientness you have? And then looking at 1956, when in post-independent India, Dr. Suresh Avasthi, the secretary of Sangeet Natak Akademi, said we need to go back to our roots. Now again, if that was, because Britishers has introduced us our own theatre, so the way Britishers introduced us, we accepted it as it is without understanding how it is going to be. We accepted in the same format how the Britishers has given to us. What Sir William Jones said, or what William Jones translated of Abhagya and Shakuntalam. Yes, because English, myself being a teacher of English, I can say very humbly to all of the scholars, whether most of the scholars will not agree with me, I know it, that this English language is not the language of aesthetics. English is the only language of business. And if you understand this fact that English is a language of business, that's why you have a communication skills in English. You have to learn. Skills are to be learned. You have to chisel your skills. So there are communication skills in English only. There is no communication skill in Marathi, or there is no communication skill in French or Urdu or Hindi. Okay, now we are having Samvad Kaushalya, where we are borrowing the terms from English itself later on. But in basic, there is no skill because English is a language of communication, business. There's a very interesting anecdote. I may deviate from the topic for a moment. That once, the very famous writer Franz Kafka in the evening is walking in front of his house. He's taking a small walk in front of his house. And one of Kafka's friends rushed to him and said to Kafka that, Kafka, your book is translated in English. Kafka didn't react. He said second time that, Kafka, your book is translated in English. He didn't react. 3-4 times his friends say the same thing, that Kafka, your book is translated in English, and Kafka very silently stopping Kafka, grabbing his shoulder saying, Kafka, don't you understand what I'm saying? Your book is translated in English. Kafka simply reacted, how come English understand aesthetics? English is not the language of beauty. That is what Kafka's remark. Don't blame it on me. It is not me. It is not I am saying that. It's Kafka mentioned. And if you see very carefully, my friends, English is not having any sense of aesthetics within itself today also. Being a teacher of English right from last 26 years. And so I am saying this. If you see very carefully, my friends, this particular translations of Indian drama, particular translations of Indian theatre from Sanskrit to English changed the whole idea of multilinguality in Indian theatre. And that's why contemporary Indian theatre is not having any idea of multilinguality to it. They are monolingual. We are trying to once again, and that's why in 1956 Suresh Avasthi asked all the creative writers to be back on the foot and say that you are going to be a theatre of roots. Please use your tradition into your dramas, because our drama has been decomposed with a Western philosophy, Western idea of performance called proscenium. We performed in a proscenium arch, whereas we don't have any idea of proscenium arch into Indian theatre concept. If you are boasting your ancient theatre, our theatre is not proscenium theatre, please understand. Our theatre is a theatre of mass. That is how Badal Sarkar used his Angan Manch. That is how Badal Sarkar brought his own theatre after understanding the fact that this theatre, what I am writing, is not my theatre. That is why Badal Sarkar rejected the whole idea of Indian theatre and tried to establish his own third theatre. He has developed his own Angan Manch. He didn't call anyway Rang Manch. He called it as an Angan Manch. If you understand the meaning of these two words, Ranga Manch and Angan Manch, you will find out, my friend, Rang Manch is a place where you have a distance between audience and actor. Again, and you may say it's Badal Sarkar's, I cannot say it's a Marxist approach, but it is somehow a communist understanding that who is your closest person in theatre? Which audience is very close to you? The person who pays more. The person who pays more can sit in the front seat. The person who pays less, he has to sit at the back. They have differentiated between the audience also, whereas your concept of audience is inclusive. There is no idea of making your audience to move away from one place. And that's why Badal Sarkar rejected the idea of Rangmanch and accepted his Angan Manch, because in Angan, there is no difference. In Angan, you allow all the persons to come together and sit together and to enjoy the things together. Every house, nowadays we are living in a flat culture, that's why we don't have any Angan. The idea of Angan, where people used to come and sit together and enjoy the whole idea of performance, that's why you will find out there is a shift in writing of Badal Sarkar's play also. Look at the first, Evam Indrajit, which has been appreciated very much. Why Evam Indrajit appreciated very much? Because Evam Indrajit is talking about the middle class mentality. And again, what we appreciate today in Indian theatre is the middle class mentality only, which was developed deliberately by the British regime in India. Middle class is a concept that is developed by the capitalist world. And today we are living in the neo-capitalist regime, where it has been operated by one particular agency, the whole minds. And when Mahesh Dattani is trying to bring out these ideas into theatre, we are not able to understand the whole concept of neo-corporate ideas that are part of our life, where Mahesh Dattani in big fat city trying to bring out these ideas to us. Look out how post-independent Indian theatre shifted itself. We have, although Suresh Avasthi asked for going back to theatre of roots, but do we find that are we followed that idea continuously? No. After writing 4 or 5 plays, after getting 4 or 5 performances, and even today we have only 4 or 5 directors who are still pursuing the idea of theatre of roots, where we have the very famous Ratan Thiyam following the idea of theatre of roots still, bringing Shakespeare's Macbeth into his own Manipuri style, following the Manipuri folk, taking Manipuri folk into understanding. He tries to put all those ideas together of Shakespeare's Macbeth. Or we had B.V. Karanth, who had tried to bring out the whole Kannadi folk and tried to incorporate those Kannadi folk into the modern plays of Western plays together itself. And that's why Bertolt Brecht is one of the very closest playwright for post-independent Indian or contemporary Indian theatre. Because you can use your folk, you can incorporate your folk into Bertolt Brecht plays. There was Habib Tanvir, who used to follow this whole idea of theatre of roots with his Chhattisgarhi style of play performance. We have very meager number of directors and playwrights who tried to bring out the whole idea of theatre into existence. We have to understand in this contemporary Indian theatre that what exactly is the place of playwright and the theatre when they are presenting the things. Are we really finding the playwrights who are focusing on the whole idea of Indianness into theatre? Because if you are saying these playwrights are following the theatre of roots, then why theatre of roots movement is restricted to very limited number of playwrights? The reason is that the theatre in India in post-independent period, after getting the whole call from Sangeet Natak Academy to bring theatre of roots, we have tried to decolonize the theatre. A very typical term of Yan Gugi Wathiango. We are trying to simply decolonize the whole idea of theatre. And in this process of decolonization, decolonization, unfortunately, my friend, we have made it a cultural tourism. We have converted it into a cultural tourism. We have not completed it with decolonizing, as Young Boogie tried to complete it with an African theatre. If you look at African theatre after Young Boogie's very seminal book, Decolonizing the Mind, where he wrote one chapter on decolonizing the whole African theatre, language of African theatre. Do we have any attempt made in contemporary Indian theatre to decolonize the language of Indian theatre? No. We have to understand, we have to have a deliberations and talk and discussions and then focus on this, that are we going to decolonize the language of Indian theatre? We have not decolonized the language of Indian theatre. And that's why very, very pertinently, Rustam Bharucha, one of the very famous critics, used this term called cultural tourism in his very famous essay, The Collusion of Culture. This cultural tourism, I think most of us are remember the very idea of 1980s, 90s. I may get the period wrong. When the then Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi started an idea called Apna Utsav. And when the idea of Apna Utsav came into existence, you have killed the whole idea of traditional performances, folk performances in all. Okay, that was the good attempt. Appreciated that attempt. But are we going to be a critique of that or not? Or are we going to follow the same tradition of boasting our own idea of nationalism, which is nowadays divisive, dividing the whole society? An idea of tradition and culture is restricted to only one religious understanding. Look at what phase Indian theatre is going through. A couple of days back, in Chhattarpur in Madhya Pradesh, Tendulkar's play, which he has written in Marathi, Pahije Jati Che, translated in Hindi as Jaat Na Pucho Sadhu Ki, in Hindi, in Chhattarpur, Bajrang Dal objected for the title and said that this play should not be performed in Chhattarpur, and Chhattarpur collector stopped the performance of the play. Now I think most of us have read the play, either in Hindi or either in Marathi. We read that play, Pahije Jati Che. Is there any reference to any religion? No. But still we accepted that forceful ban of that particular play in Madhya Pradesh. This is what the condition of Indian theatre, contemporary Indian theatre is today in India. If you look, my friends, that's why I'm saying that what exactly, when it has been called for theatre of roots, when it is being performed in the form of theatre of roots, and what Rustam Bharucha blamed it, critiquing the whole process, that it is a cultural tourism, and you kill the whole idea of performance of traditional Indian theatre. Traditional Indian theatre is having its own place of performance. You brought it into a closed structure. Folk Indian theatre, folk theatre is having its performance area in open. The stage is not proscenium stage. The stage is not square. The whole stage is open. And the performance of that whole folk artist is going to be an open place. There is no restriction of curtain, no restrictions of different spaces, the dimension that a theatre is having. We have seen folk performances at our own places. Gondhara is one of the very famous folk performances that we used to have in rural Maharashtra. Do you require any sort of stage as you find it in a theatre? The architecture structure called theatre? No. The whole idea of killing of that performances, because we need to be a good critique of our own system, Otherwise, we are not going to be called ourselves as the most powerful democratic nation. And if you be a critique of that, you will find out the whole performative structure is killed in Apna Utsav, that it has been performed in a proscenium arch. And nowadays, if you perform it on a proscenium stage, then you are going to find it as a performance. Look out, the idea of tamasha that happened in Indian theatre, in Marathi world. Tamasha has been restricted to proscenium theatre. And then you started banning performance of Lavani because audience used to break the seats in the theatre. This is how your idea of contemporary Indian theatre is. That is how you started to think about contemporary Indian theatre in this particular form. And what sort of contemporary Indian theatre has been appreciated? The sort of contemporary theatre which is carrying the whole idea of middle class with itself. Please understand why we have to understand the whole concept of Badal Sarkar's third theatre. Why we have to understand the whole idea of the idea of Janam, Jananatya Manch, Safdar Hashmi's street theatre. Why we have to appreciate the idea of the theatre which has been performed in Hegadu in Karnataka right now. Ninasam group used to perform its own theatre. Because all these theatres, beginning it from Badal Sarkar's Angan Manch, beginning it from Badal Sarkar's third theatre, they tried to bring the theatre to the masses. And from that perception, they start to write down their own scripts. Please make it clear, my friends, being a student of drama, being a student of film, being a student of theatre, I always used to find out one particular thing, that drama was not written for the sake of expressing my own understanding and feelings. No, drama is written for the sake of masses. Shakespeare has wrote drama for his theatre, not for his pleasure. After understanding the policy of state, Shakespeare converted his ideas. When Queen Elizabeth once said that we have to move out of England to conquer the world, to make a colonies of England across the world, and at that time they started to move out of England. At that time, Shakespeare immediately understood the fact that if Britishers are going to make colonies, what would be the condition of Britishers, and that's why he wrote a play called Tempest. The Caliban is trying to impose his language. And the way the answer is, you taught me your language, I know how to use it. That is the very famous dialogue from Tempest. The clash of two different languages and how this clash will result into it. That is how Shakespeare has projected into his play. That means drama is not written for the sake of my own pleasure, my own experiences to be narrated to the people. No. Drama is always written for the sake of making masses aware of the situations. And contemporary Indian drama, I may say, most of the time failed at various levels to convince to the masses, rather than it is becoming a part of middle class life only. Very few attempts, as I said, Badal Sarkar, as I said, Safdar Hashmi, as I said, Utpal Dutt, as I said, even most of the time, Vijay Tendulkar is trying to convince the masses. After facing violence across the town, Tendulkar used violence as one of the major themes of his writings. But what sort of theatre we are understanding? What sort of theatre we are looking at? The expressions that of masses need to be propagated through theatre, and we are not following this propagation. And the situations in contemporary, in what if I'm using contemporary in today's context, the situation is getting worse and worse and worse. The one simple example of Chhatarpur is sufficient for us to understand. Okay, this is not the condition of Indian society after 2014, please understand this fact. Immediately we start to guess that, okay, he seems to be Khan and he seems to be a Muslim, that's why he's opposing Narendra Modi, and that's why he's saying that this happened in this period. No, not at all. Every state has played this role. This is a clash between state and artist. Why, if you are saying you have a right to your freedom of expressing everything, right to express? You can express everything. Your constitution has given that particular right to you express yourself without hurting anyone's feelings. Because it is very well said that your democracy ends where my nose begins. That much understanding you should have about democracy. You should understand that particular thing. Why in earlier period the state stopped Meenathuram Godse bolte hai? What happened? Why state is worried about it? Why Ghanshyam Kotwal is banned by the state? Why censor board has not cleared the very famous Sakharam binder? The court battle, you know, all the whole regal battle. Why not an action taken against the then minister who initiated the murder of or the death of Sardar Hashmi? Look out, my friends. Sophocles wrote Antigone quite before, talking about how state is always an oppressive regime. State always try to oppress, whosoever it may be. That's another question. But do we find Indian theatre is answering to this, is trying to question this, is trying to criticize this? No. Look at Badal Sarkar's Bhoma. Bhoma is trying to make you aware of how tribals are being killed, how the lands are being grabbed, how people are whisked away from their places. The sort of operation, it is not the responsibility of the poet to talk about operation only, my friends. It is the work of theatre that has to take place. And that's why I said the third object is theatre you have to focus on. Because it is talking about mass, it is dealing with mass, it is not dealing with one person. If theatre is banned, you can have a very best idea of street theatre coming on the street and trying to bring the things. Look out how Janam is doing the things across India. Look out how Janam is now performing with the farmer protest in Delhi. This performance, this writing need to be documented. It is not the work of the performer that he has to document all the things. It is the work of scholars like us to perform, to document all those things so that we can able to put it, give it to the next generation that look, this is how we fought. Otherwise, what will happen? We don't have any history of 1,000 years with us of theatre. Similar thing will happen from tomorrow onwards, that we don't have any history of theatre for future generation, that what sort of fight the theatre has initiated against the oppressive regimes. Do we have anything like this happening across India? No. We are interested only in talking about the writer who wrote this play, the writer, what are the characters, what are the themes, what are the plots, what are the characterization. Okay, that's all. That is not the Indian theatre, my friends. Expressing about only text is not Indian theatre. The text is a documentation of the period which talks about so many things. It is against the Nehruvian utopia. Karnad wrote Tughlaq. It is against the whole idea of your own sexual relationship that Karnad brought it into Haivadana. Are we going to find out the whole understanding of Indian writings in theatre? We have restricted ourselves to texts only, and that's why this is the big problem, that we are not able to bring all those matters together. That's why we are not able to bring all those things together. The Theatre of Roots is not at all bringing out all the traditional element into drama. No, it is trying to make the theatre close to masses, which is not the part of the masses in British period. And that's why the idea of censor brought it out by Britishers in 1896 after looking at the performances of the plays written at that time. That's why the concept of censor is still there. Still we are following the same British colonial norm of censorship with us. Do you have any freedom? If you write any play right now, can you able to perform that play without putting it to the censor? No, you have to give it to the censor board. If your censor approves it, then you can perform the play. That means the colonial legacy of censorship is still hanging over your mind. Do we ever rejected the idea of censorship? No. And the idea which was now rejected by OTT platforms, the OTT platforms are simply rejecting the whole idea of censorship. Now you are trying to impose the censorship once again. Give a minute. I'll put a cord of charge to my PC. It is getting, laptop is getting out of battery. I'm putting the cord into it. Wait a minute. So we have to understand this important fact. Are we really going to ponder over these issues? That how theatre is responding, how contemporary theatre is responding to the performances that are taking place across the world. We are still following the legacy that Britishers had handed over to us. I'm not saying they are wrong or they are right. I'm not analyzing the fact that why censorship should be there or there should not be censorship. Various views can have about that. But do you find that when you are trying to take this theatre to the masses, because theatre, we Marathi people cannot claim that we are having a very, you can say, social commitment to the theatre, not at all. We are professionals. We gave the idea of professionalism to the world of theatre. The first Sita Swayamvar was a professional theatre, professional performance. Later on, Vishnudas Bhave started to perform it with Parsi theatre in Mumbai and collected money out of it. So we are having a no commitment, social commitment. The plays which are having social commitments, we forgot that. Phule's Tritiya Ratna is having social commitment, we forgot that particular play. We still try to claim that Sita Swayamvar is the first play written in Marathi. There is lots of debates about which is going to be the first play. Because the play which is close to masses, Indian theatre has not taken cognizance of it very seriously. And that's why it is most important, because this is the period. Because most of the time, nationalism is also related with theatre. And what is the idea of nationalism? You have a very good idea in front of you right now. If you don't say Bharat Mata Ki Jai, you are not national. You are anti-national. You have so many ideas. How they are propagated, there is a different topic of debate. You are asking people to leave this country. If you write against us, if you talk against us, then what is the role of theatre? I don't know how many of us are familiar with the fact that Prasanna, one of the leading director of Kannada theatre, was on hunger strike for a long time in Bengaluru for saying that the oppressive approach of state over theatre. He is on hunger strike for almost 3 months. He was on hunger strike, Prasanna. But nobody has taken cognizance of Prasanna's hunger strike because Prasanna is a person of theatre. Why anybody should take cognizance of it? Because it's an oppressive, and that's why, my friend, this oppressive state agencies making the whole idea of making masses aware of their own rights, of their own ideas, which is prime role of theatre, I think contemporary Indian theatre need to understand this, and some of the writers are trying. Mahesh Dattan is trying to put the question of LGBT, making the Indian audience, making the Indian society to understand the issues and problems of LGBT. If you look at plays written by Ani Zaidi nowadays, Ani Zaidi is trying to bring out certain issues which are quite close to the problems of women traveling across the city for the sake of job. After Nirbhaya, this is the response from theatre. Look out the performances done by Maya Rao. Maya Rao is performing across the north states. How the caps used by Mr. Narendra Modi. If you see the pictures of Mr. Narendra Modi, you will find out he wear caps, different caps at different places. The pagdi, the cap. And Maya Rao has tried to collect the whole idea of politics behind wearing the caps. And she performed it under the cap. That is the title of her play. Indian theatre is responding, but this response is meager. Because most of the scholars are not at all able to look at the metamorphosis that takes place in the whole system. We as the teachers of literature and language need to understand the whole change in language, the change in expressions. There is no threat of any advanced technology over theatre, not at all, my friends. If you look at Karnad's very famous monologues, which was performed in Kannada, I'm forgetting the name of the actress, very famous actress of Kannada, and in Hindi, Shabana Azmi tried to perform those monologues of Girish Karnad. There he used videos and all the advanced technologies into it. Advanced technology is part of that performance. But when you are using advanced technology of audio video aids into your performances, the language also changes. And we need to ponder over the language which is being changed in writings nowadays. Because we are living in the world of pidgin languages. And when we are living in the world of pidgin languages, the theatre is also adopting pidgin languages. And when these pidgin languages are becoming part of our life. Earlier, we used to talk about how SMS language is copying, how SMS language is affecting our understanding. No, beyond that, you have SMS language, you have languages used on your social medias. The playwright is responding into that particular language. Manjula Padmanabhan is responding into that language, into her plays. Ani Zaidi is responding into that language, into her plays, that how this language has changed the whole understanding. Remember one thing, it may be right or wrong, it is my perception, that if you know more than one language, you are more going to be liberal and liberal and liberal. If you know only one language, you are going to be restricted with your understanding, with your mindset, with your thinking, because your thought process requires a cater feed of languages. If you know many languages, you are going to be more and more exclusive. You are getting everything included into it. And that's why I said Sanskrit theatre is multilingual theatre where audience can able to understand more than 6 languages, and that's why the period was called as a golden period. Now we are not able to understand more than 2 languages or 3 languages, and that's why we are not reading about what sort of writing is taking place across the languages, and especially in the world of theatre, what sort of writing is taking place, because our conception is that theatre requires drama. Drama is written by dramatist. So what dramatist write is performed in the theatre. No, theatre does not require any dramatist. The best example Samuel Beckett has put in front of us. Samuel Beckett's very good play, a play, Act Without Words. That is one of his play. In the whole act, there are no words. He wrote that. Act Without Words. If you see Samuel Beckett's play. Samuel Beckett has responded you very beautifully after Second World War that language is insufficient to communicate with waiting for Godot. Language is not sufficient to communicate. And that's why we need to understand when you are talking about contemporary Indian theatre. Contemporary Indian theatre is trying to move ahead and is trying to become the most innovative sort of theatre where they are talking in a meager way. Someday it will rise. That much optimistic we should have. Someday it will increase. But we are trying to express ourselves. He has to write as per the requirement of the artist, as per the requirement of the masses, as per the requirement of what audience requires. And that's why even if you see the Greek theatre, everything that is wrote in Greek theatre is related with state, is related with mass, is related with making the audience to understand that how they should behave in state. What should be their role in the state? That is being exclusively communicated by Greek writers, Greek tragedians at that time. And that's why we have to understand that contemporary Indian theatre need to move to making masses to understand each and every moment that they are facing. They are moving through a very critical phase, and we have to understand that how the theatre is going to respond. Thank you very much, friends, for giving me a patient listening. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Mustajib Khan, sir. As we expected, certainly it was an intellectual feast. The most important thing that I found throughout your lecture, throughout your address, that not necessarily there should be only first and second eye. It is also possible that there can be a third eye. And that with third eye or with that third angle, you are trying to interpret the things which are not properly being conveyed, which are not being properly taken into consideration. As a matter of fact, Indian theatre in course of time, as we are talking about the ancient Indian theatre, it lost into that dreary desert sand of their habits. And it is due to the reason we come to know or we come to learn that contemporary Indian theatre has been facing certain issues or problems. And for this, it is necessary to some extent that we should go back to our roots and we should try to understand what exactly Indian theatre did as far as the ancient Indian theatre or our folk traditions concerned. I'm very happy, much delighted, as it is expected. Mustajib Khan sir means something different you are going to listen, something that is being interpreted by his own way out of his prudence, and it is exactly the result of whatever he has been doing for last few years as far as theatre is concerned. So for him, theatre doesn't mean only reading a play, understanding a play, but practicing the social issues or a good number of things. So thank you very much. In midst of incoming and outgoing of participants, the way he dealt with the topic with that energy and enthusiasm and genuine concern, we are grateful to him. Thank you very much, sir. Due to lack of time, it is not possible to have a discussion session over here. We got a few or one or two questions or suggestions, you may say, or observations, you may say, from the participants, but unfortunately, it is not possible to have a discussion session. Be with us. Right now, I am going to request our president for his presidential note or presidential sum up.
Good afternoon, everybody. I am Vijay Kumar Katruwar, President of this trust. I have a great pleasure in being part of inaugural ceremony of a one-day national webinar of company on contemporary Indian theatre organized by the Department of English of our college. I extend warm wishes for further discussions through the different sessions of the event. It is through the keynote address delivered by Mustabid Khan sir, we would understand the stages of development of the Indian theatre, which has been a perennial source of inspiration for the theatres world over. Though his excellent expressions and also noted knowledge of the subject, Dr. Khan sir has explained the origin, development, and the obstacles and wider possibilities of the group to groom as far Indian theatre is concerned. The keynote address may be taken as a research input by the budding researchers who desire to complete their research programs in this specific area. Even though it is a matter of fact that the television and internet culture have badly affected the growth of this art in the last few decades, but still there are certain ways to accelerate the speed and reach the sensibilities of the youth of the motion nation, so that they may get an opportunity to meet their own past and wishes, witness language heritage for their home nation. I know it will learn from their own folk culture and also contemporary trends in the Indian theatre. But I have enough confidence to believe such intellectual events will be landmarks in the direction of the desire overstated. At the end, I put on record my thanks towards the Mustajib Khan sir and other resource persons for their positive response, and also participants and faculty members of our Department of English College. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thanks a lot for your presidential remark. Through the messages received from the participants, now it is open to all the way the participants have got a kind of magnifying kind of effect of the speech given by Dr. Mustajib Khan sir, or the keynote address which is being delivered by him. Once again, I'm grateful to him. I'm very much thankful to him. Now I request our coordinator of our humanities, Dr. Sharda Raut ma'am, for vote of thanks. Dr. Sharda Raut.
Thank you.
And just a minute, ma'am. Before that, I would like to declare the next session will start soon. Okay, Raut ma'am, please.
Thank you, sir. KKM College, Manwat, Department of English has organized a one-day national webinar in collaboration with School of Language, Literature and Culture Studies, SRT MU Nanded, on the topic of contemporary Indian theatre views and reviews. On the occasion of inauguration of this webinar, it's our pleasure to have Sri Vijay Kumarji Katruwar sir, President of PTSP Mandal, Manwat. Thank you so much for delivering the valuable presentation, speech and your valuable time. I would like to thank Dr. B.S. Munde sir, Principal of our college, for your welcome speech. Thank you, sir. I am grateful towards Dr. Mustajib Khan sir, Professor, Department of English, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, Marathwada University, Aurangabad. Thank you so much, sir, for your most precious word. And I also thank you so much all participants and all organizing committee. Thank you. Over to Ramanda sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am, for this.